New set's coming out. This is going to be awesome. Let's take a look at it. All right, what is up, everybody? Space-Time Smackdown is coming out just around the corner. Actually going to be coming out at 1 a.m. Eastern Time on the 30th. 29th is trading. The way they put it in the trailer is really weird because they say the 28th and the 29th, but that's based on time zones, and that's like based on California time for some reason, which is still just 10 p.m. So I don't know why they're doing that. It's a little confusing, but if you are on Eastern, for example, like New York time zone, like I am, being in Florida, it will be coming out at 1 a.m. for the normal reset on the 30th, and then trading, as you can see on the left-hand side here, will be coming out 1 a.m. on the 29th. So gotta stay up late for that, or just be ready for it the next day, all that good stuff. But first things first, we want to look at some things being spoiled. And I know we've seen a lot of videos like this where it's like, okay, what's being spoiled? What's being shown? We're going to do a quick look at that, but I want to look at some other stuff too. And we know trading's coming, right? Trading, we're going to see, is going to have some new form of currency, two options. So there's two things that are going to be on currency. There's going to be a stamina refill bar, just like Wonder Picks, just like the solo missions when you have the events there for those promo packs. There's going to be a stamina bar that you have to refill to be able to make trades. We assume that the stamina bar is going to be the same as like Wonder Picks, where the higher rarity the card, the more stamina it uses per trade. And then there's going to be actual tickets of some variety, or whatever the currency is going to be called, that is going to be used for trading as well. So you need two things. You need to have the stamina, you need to have the tickets. Well, I guess you also need three things. You need a trading partner as well. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to withhold all judgment before, until we see it come out, because I don't know exactly what the rates are going to be, how easy it is going to be to get these tickets. We assume they're going to be added into the new solo missions, all that good stuff. So for now, I'm not going to say anything. I still would like to see them add 2 stars. I can understand 3 stars and crown rares, and then our eventual new rarity, whether or not that comes out in the set, which apparently to leaks it should. That's what it's been saying for a while. So we'll see what hyper rare ends up looking like, if that's what it's going to be called as well. But I understand these 3 crown, and especially since they're adding a third one, having 3 premier things you cannot trade and then 2 and down, that seems to be the perfect middle ground, right? But you know, the whole rule of if you give a mouse a cookie, they'll ask for a glass of milk kind of thing. Once you give 2 stars, people start saying, well, now that hyper rare's out, maybe we could have 3-star immersions, and then that eventually just keeps going. But we'll see what they do. It's going to be a thing that they run for now. Looking at the rewards, this is apparently going to have more gift boxes, all that stuff. New flares as well that we know about. But let's take a look at the actual booster packs themselves. We have Space-Time Smackdown with Dialga and Palkia. Gen 4. As you can see on the right-hand side of my screen, I have the Gen 4 Cerebi pulled up as well, which we will look at in just a second. But this is what the set is going to be featured heavily around, which is really cool. It's going to make it so that we just don't know what's coming every time. We don't know what's going to be coming every single time there is a new set. That's perfect. It's what we want. We don't want it to just be like, oh, it's Gen 3. I'm not a big Gen 3 fan. I'm going to skip out on this one, or whatever. It's going to mix it up. And like always, there will not just be exclusively Gen 4 cards. I'll get to that in just a second. There's always going to be some cards that are from different generations, like we had in the first set. Greninja is a great example. That's a Gen 6 card in Gen 1, right? So let's look at the first things first. We have Turtwig and Chimchar. Those are 2 of your starter Pokemon, and Piplup. We have nothing really to go off of these. The only thing I can see so far is Turtwig is beefy. 80 HP for a basic is really sick. You can't really say anything about these. I mean, they're basics. There's nothing to really talk about. We won't know anything to really accurately say about these until we get the evolutions, which we assume will be having EXs of each one. But hey, they may throw a wrench in that. Big first one, Palkia is a water type first and foremost with a 30 damage slash, 150 HP. And then it has Dimensional Storm for 150 damage. You discard 3 water energy from this Pokemon. This attack it also does 20 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So the slash is really cool. It's aggressive. You can actually start feeling like you're doing something when you're putting forth energy every single time. Think of Articuno, for example. Articuno needs 2 energy to deal 40 damage each turn. This is 1 energy for 30 and is also similar HP, actually more HP. Articuno is 140. This is 150 and a basic just like that. So this actually might genuinely be a potential replacement for Articuno, or it might be one of those things where like you do 1 Articuno, 1 Palkia kind of thing in a lot of water decks. The big thing I'm interested in, I've been playing a lot of the Articuno deck with Starmie and the evolution of Vaporeon, where because Starmie has free retreat, and then you can use things like Leaf to bring back Articuno, it's nice to be able to go, I'm going to hit you for 90 with Starmie, retreat, move my energy to this Articuno that's full health, hit you for 80, knock that out, take my hits on the Articuno, Leaf, bring that back, then bring out a different Articuno or another Starmie, for example, that has full health, and do the same thing. That deck is very good at utilizing its energy with Vaporeon and swapping them around by leveraging Leaf with things like Articuno, and of course, Starmie having a free retreat cost, especially when you have double Starmie out. It's very good at leveraging that. Palkia could be a perfect fit for that kind of deck, especially because you only have to worry about 1 energy for the slash early on. So it's nice to have it in your starting point like you would for Articuno. Get some hits in. A couple hits in general, like let's say, look at Piplup, for example. Look at most basics, for example. 60 HP is typically the rule of thumb for basics on average, right? So if they miss out on their evolution, you're threatening knocking out their basics with just this Palkia. Yes, it has the super mega, like, Mewtwo-esque attack of 150, discarding energy, but that's why we have Misty, and that's also nice for, again, that energy manipulation with Vaporeon. I think people are kind of focusing too much on the Dimensional Storm thing. You will hit it, that's great. You will end up using it probably once per battle on average, because people are thinking like, oh, you lose the energy, you can't hit anything. The deck this goes in with Starmie and potentially other copies of Articuno, things like that, being able to juggle energy is perfect for this, because you're hitting for 90, you're hitting for 80, you're hitting for 30 here, and then when you need to get that final knockout blow, you bring back the Palkia from your bench that you kind of moved back, which again, to retreat by the way, so Leaf is great for this, and then you could just do your final hit later on. You don't need to hit more than once in a game with Dimensional Storm on average, especially with how many EXs around. So I think this is way better than people are letting on. I've seen a lot of people low on this card and thinking it looks bad. I think it looks very good. I think it's a strictly better Articuno, genuinely. Yes, the second attack is not as good as Articuno's. Articuno's is more consistent, but I think that first attack and the tempo it gives is better. But I do think you probably do like a 1-1 split, maybe a 2-1 split with this in Articuno. I don't think Articuno gets cut entirely. Moving on to Dialga, another 150 HP metal type, steel type, whichever. Metallic Turbo, 2 metal energy for 30 attacks, so you actually get a little bit of hit to it. And you take 2 metal energy from Energy Zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. 2 things to keep in mind with this. It says attach it to one of your benched Pokemon. It doesn't have to be metal type. It could be any bench Pokemon type. Of course, it can be another Dialga while you're trying to build up into Heavy Impact. It can build up into Melmetal, trying to build up into the 120 attack there. It could build up into things like Pidgeot, Tauros, anything that's colorless, Wigglytuff, for example. So that's really good for those kind of decks too. I think this card is very good. Let me not mince words. This is a very good card. A little overrated, though. A little overrated. Again, let me say, this is a very good card. But people are saying it is far and away the best of the 2 that we've seen so far between Dialga and Palkia. I don't think that's the case. I think it's closer than people think. And this Heavy Impact, 4 energy for 100 damage is really bad. It's a really bad rate. I think people are really overlooking this second attack as being just a pretty bad attack overall, especially when you compare to like other attacks in the game. Yes, it doesn't discard energy, so it's not like Mewtwo doing 150 and then you have to lose out on the energy. But I mean, technically speaking, it could do that if you wanted it to, and you could swap in the other Dialga and turbo the other one back to it, technically speaking. I know it's a little bit of some hoops to jump through, and I'm glad they didn't go that route, but just off the top of my head, this first attack is very, very good. It's a great starting Pokemon for a lot of these decks, like Melmetal, like colorless stuff, and being able to ramp them out and then take advantage of that. That's very, very good. That's where all the value comes from. This heavy impact, though, is not very good. You'll get knockouts with it, cool, but if you're using Metallic Turbo to build up another Dialga, I think you're in a poor position for your game, most likely. You should be building up something a bit more impactful. And I'm sure we'll get better colorless stuff in this set, so I'm excited to see what that is. And yeah, can't wait to see that. Lucario is 100 HP, fighting, has Fighting Coach, being, of course, Ace Stage 1. Attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do plus 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's very, very good. Apparently, people are saying this will end up stacking because if you look at Superior, Superior says at the end of their ability, it says this does not stack. They don't have that listed here. Two things it could be. It could be A, the first assumption is this stacks. So if you have 2 Lucario, your fighting Pokemon do an extra 40 damage. Option B is they may just not have it listed as it doesn't stack to save space on the actual card itself, and they're just omitting it, and it doesn't stack anyway. We'll see what happens. I think it's probably going to stack. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world for it to stack, but card games love doing this thing where they fix their templating and they just say, this doesn't stack, we're going to omit that. So if this is your first card game watching this, and this is your first experience of that, that is something that happens in a lot of TCGs. Otherwise, it has a 2 energy attack, 40 damage. Solid. Not amazing. It's okay. I wish this was 1 energy for 40. I mean, the rate's kind of like, you look at, for example, this does count itself, right? Attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do plus 20. So this is actually 60, right? And if you have another Lucario, it does 80. So, presumably. So this is okay. It's a 60 damage because it doesn't say other Pokemon. So it should count itself. This is a very good card. This will be a staple in fighting decks. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But that's all the spoilers. So I want to talk about real quick what cards I'm potentially the most excited about in Gen 4. Of course, Torterra, Infernape, and then Empoleon. These are the evolutions for our starters. Those are always going to be super, super exciting. We do have... I don't know why they don't have them actually here. So my apologies. I know there's a couple other spoilers. There's the bird, the vulture bird, I can't remember its name right now, that does 50 damage to any Pokemon. There's Leafeon that does 90 damage for 2 energy and has to skip its next attack. There's Cynthia, the new support card that just says Garchomp and Togekiss do an extra 50 damage. So of course, Garchomp and Togekiss are going to be super high on the list for people excited to see what they do, because an extra 50 attack, 50 damage is insane. So they have to be, like, even if they're halfway playable, Cynthia should make them a somewhat viable deck. Like, if Blaine is good enough to make things like the aggressive package of Rapidash and all that stuff a meta player, not a top meta deck, but an existing player, then I would think Cynthia would do something similar. Otherwise, looking through the list, it's Honchkrow. That's what it was. That's the one that does 50 damage. There's a bunch of stuff in here that I think is going to be really cool. Spiritomb. If I'm saying that wrong, correct me. I'm probably saying it wrong. I really like ghost types for the most part, so I'm excited to see more ghost stuff. Yes, it'll be most likely either Psychic or Dark in the TCG or in Pocket, but that's okay. Of course, we're getting Lucario. Garchomp, I cannot wait for. I really love Garchomp as a card and as a Pokemon in general. It will be a stage 2, so that Cynthia getting online is not going to be super easy. Carnivine is a super cool card as well. Toxicroak I'm really excited for as well. Even Drapion would be cool. Poison dark type, like more dark stuff, right? Like this Scorpy and Drapion. These will be really cool to see in the game. I just want more dark stuff, you know? And same thing with Toxicroak. Poison. A lot of the poison types effects or poison type cards are going to be dark cards. So these are the ones I want to see. I want to see more dark support. Weavile, another good example. Another one that people are really excited for is Magnezone. People were thinking we're going to get a Magnezone EX to go with the Magneton. I think that'd be really cool. I don't know how good it would be, but it'd be really cool. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention is, where is the little guy? That little pre-evolution of like Pikachu. We got that card as an EX. It's a basic, has 120 HP. It deals 40 for 2 energy and says if there is a Poke tool attached to this, it does an extra 40. So it does 80 with a Poke tool attached. So that confirms we're getting Poke tools, which are a big thing for the TCG as well. I think that's just going to be an extension of the Pikachu deck. You're just going to run 2 Pikachu, 2 of that card. Oh, here it is. Bucherasu. So this one right here, 40 plus damage, tools attached, does 40 more. I think you just run 2 of this, 2 Pikachu, and then tools, and then like a couple other, you know, cards like Zapdos. I think there's a chance you'd actually completely drop the evolution stuff, like the Zipstrikas, because I think you just want basics to make your Pokeballs a bit more palatable and more powerful at that point. Especially if you're running tools as well. So I could see 2 Pikachu, 2 Pachirisu, if I'm saying that right. Probably like 4 total tools, I'd imagine, right? Whether that's like 2 and 2 or like 1, 1, 1, 1 or whatever. Depends on what tools we get or if we get that many. But probably in total like 4 copies in general, just to be able to find stuff. And then like Zapdos and some other basic types for electric, because I think you just want super high consistency with like filling your bench and finding your stuff. So I think Zapdos comes back into the fray. Depending on the meta though, if Gyarados is still a really big thing, Zipstrika is still very good against, of course, Magikarp, but maybe the new Electabuzz can just fill that hole because it is a basic. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited about Gen 4, but we're missing out on Gen 2, but I don't think that means we're losing out completely on Gen 2. So this is what people were thinking we were going to get was Gen 2. I do think we're probably going to get some cards from this. I think they're going to interject a little bit of stuff. We're getting Leafeon. I think we might actually still get Espeon and Umbreon. I think they just still might throw them in. I don't know. I have a feeling that we're just going to get, because we got 3 evolutions last set, right? For or at least for, you know, Genetic Apex, not the mini set. We got 3 evolutions, right? I think they'll just stick with 3 evolutions again. And there's 2 right here from Gen 2, and they'll say, hey, here's Espeon, Umbreon, have fun. Now, will they be EXs? I doubt it. We already saw Leafeon's not an EX, so I assume these will just be regular ones as well. It's going to be a while till we get an EX version of these cards, but maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. I think Unknown will come in the mini set. Steelix, there's a chance we get Steelix, just as an evolution, right, towards Onyx. And was another one I do think we may get. Also, there's Togekiss we're getting in Gen 4, right? So doesn't that mean we have to get Togepi? What number is Togepi? So yeah, Togepi and Togetic are these 2 right here. I think we have to get these because Cynthia says we're getting Togekiss. Togekiss is the evolution of Togetic, I believe, and you need that line. Also, Cynthia needing to run 2 stage 2s for that deck actually might make that card not very good. I'm just now realizing. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to get those as well. So I think we are going to get some stuff out of Gen 2. And then, of course, we could get stuff outside of Gen 2. I'm not going to spend too much time on that real quick before we go, if we get anything that's non-Gen 2, Gen 4, just like the Greninja thing where they kind of take other stuff from other sets, I want Trevenant. Trevenant is my favorite Pokemon of all time. I love this guy. So sick. It is a ghost tree. How can you not love it? And I also have a soft spot for grass types as well. So the fact that it's ghost grass and you could go either way in the direction of like what cards you make it. As we've seen in the actual TCG, there are grass types for Trevenant and there are dark types for Trevenant in the game. So you could go in either direction for that. So I think that'd be really cool. But what card are you excited to see? What card do you hope interjects its way into Space-Time Smackdown, which is a really funny name, by the way? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys soon for pack openings once the new set goes live. See ya.